Okay, this is what the opening screen looks like. It could be that you haven't logged in or created an account with Airbnb yet. So you may have a different opening screen that is kind of like a starter thing asking you to create an account and which area and dates were you looking for. But if you already have an account, this is the opening screen that you'll automatically come to. So there are different options, just to give you a quick tour. So this search field up here just refers to a starting standard search field. So if you're looking for downtown Toronto, if you are looking for Midtown West New York, you can be kind of specific, but it just gives you something to start with. That's if you just don't have, if you want to start with a place first. And then on this right hand side, you're going to see where it says host. That means if you want to host a place. The saved section is going to be where your wish list is. So if you've been kind of peeking through some places in a particular area and you want to save them for future ones, I'll click on it just to show you what I've got. So in Toronto, I have 2 listings that I've saved for future use. Someday I'm going to take my husband to Hawaii, so I have 3 listings that I really like there. And then we were looking at renting a cottage, which we did actually through Airbnb this past summer. And this is where I would click on that one. So from there, you can keep adding to them. You can name them however you want, organize them, add and remove listings as you want. Now under the trips section, this would be if I had anything booked. So right now, I do have one booked for Toronto coming up. So we're going to do that one from scratch in a second. The messages section would be messages to and from either an Airbnb host or if you are the host between one of your guests. So it's just like an in-house messaging app where you can send messages back and forth. You can either get your messages directly through the website or you can do it straight through email because every time you send or receive a message, you do usually get an email or sometimes even a text message if you've registered with your cell phone. And then, of course, there's a standard help menu in case you miss any of this or you have specific questions that's not getting answered yet. Okay, so let's pretend I am going to look for a place to stay in Toronto because most of the hotels are booked or the ones that are booked are available are way too expensive for what I need. So I'm going to try Toronto and it automatically gives me some suggestions here. Toronto, Ontario, just as the general location. Homes in Toronto basically just says you're looking for an accommodation in Toronto. Experiences in Toronto would be specialty things to do that you can pre-book. So you don't even have to have a place to stay. You can actually use Airbnb to look for something to do while you're in Toronto. And then there's Toronto Downtown. Toronto, Canada is just another usual search term, as well as downtown Toronto. So I'm just going to do regularly Toronto. Now, I'm going down for a wine show in a couple of weeks. So I am going to go and be very specific on this overnight stay that I want to do. So let's just choose dates. Now I'm going to go over to, I'm looking for November the 7th, and I'm going to be checking out on the November 8th. So it automatically, by choosing the first date and the last date, it automatically fills it out up here, November 7th to 8th. So I hit apply. So the next field it's going to ask me, it's going to say, okay, well, how many people? So it's just going to be 1 adult. That's just me. I am no longer a child. Haha. Now, explore Toronto. I can look for homes, or again, I can mention experiences, but for the purpose of this show, we're just focusing on looking for accommodation. So you go under homes, and so when it says homes, it basically just means a place to stay. So there are a lot of options. So we already selected our dates, and we already selected our guests. So now as you can see, it's already showing me a lot of the listings for those dates available in the Toronto area on this map. But that's a long list, and I want to be a little bit more specific, even because right now 300 and plus homes, I don't have time to look for that many. So I've already selected how many guests. Now I want to say what home type. So these are the 3 options that are always available. I can either say I want to filter this down to places that I'm going to be completely alone at. I may opt to have a private room within someone's place. So this would be kind of like a classic B&B operation. So if you were traveling and you didn't mind if the owner is there and they had a bedroom that they wanted to rent or something like that, but you still had your own space within it, or maybe it is a private suite within someone's house, you have that option. Or a shared room would basically be you're actually sharing a space like in an apartment type thing. So the owner would be there as well. So entire place, have a place to myself because I'm funny that way, and especially if it's your first time doing it, and because I tend to work a lot, um, socializing in these business trips is not my ideal holiday for me. But that's just me. You may like to go and socialize, so go ahead and choose whatever one works best for you. Now, if you click on the price option, it gives you a whole range, and it's just showing you out of all those 300 plus homes that were available, you'll see that there's a $13 price range, and it goes all the way up to $1,500 as the maximum. But the average nightly price of most of the homes that are listed in this price range so far of what I selected is averaging at about $221 Canadian. So actually that's not bad, because a lot of times the downtown Toronto rates, depending on if it's a busy season, are actually going to be more than that anyways. So I'm going to say I don't mind spending, let's just say I don't mind spending $100 a night. Let's see if there's something for around there. But there's no way I'm spending any more. Then I'll say 300, because then I started getting into regular hotel pricing and I might as well just go to a hotel. So I'm going to click apply. So now it's narrowed it down. So there's still 300 plus homes, because I guess my 100 to 301 didn't really narrow it down that much. So you're starting to see the map again. You can also use this map if you have a very specific area you wanted to go to. So I'm going to be staying near the Royal Ontario Museum. So when I did my booking earlier this week, I actually used the plus and minus buttons to zoom in or zoom out. And then I scrolled around until I found the location of what I was looking for. So in my case, I'd be up here in the Yorkville section. So I was looking for places that were there. So if you don't want to do that and you're not that particular, but you just want to be downtown someplace, you can just zoom out and then it goes back to listing everything that's available. Now, there's a couple of other things called Instant Book. Basically, this just means that these are regular Airbnb hosts. They don't need to go through and do a host approval. Some people have been doing this so long that Airbnb basically says we can go ahead and guarantee it. They've never let us down before, so we can do that. So if that's important to you, like you need to book now, or if it's a place that you think is always going to get booked quickly, you can book right away. If you want trip type to narrow it down even further, you can look for either business related or just pleasure trip. So for families is what they call it. So these are the ones that families have stayed with before, and it has all the amenities and things that maybe you'd want to have if there was more than just two of you going, or if you were bringing some kids, you need to have a TV and stuff to entertain them. Work related would have things like workspace, Wi-Fi, and self check-in. So I happen to like these ones because I'm always working while I'm away. So I'm going to say I want workspace, Wi-Fi, and self check-in. Sounds great to me, and because I don't need any of the family stuff. So I can click apply. And now you'll see that because it's meant for work, it says the top rated homes for offer reservation flexibility. And it also has all the self check-in, and they are used to dealing with people who go down to Toronto for work. So now my list of 300 places has now changed to 50 homes for work trips in this particular area. So there's a lot more other filters that we can look through. So let's just click on these if you want to get specific. So it's just myself. So, I mean, one bed is basically what I need, but it'd be interesting what bed actually qualifies. So when it says beds, keep in mind that it does not necessarily mean a classic standard queen or king size bed. So when it says bed, that could refer to a sofa bed, it could refer to a futon. Basically, anywhere that one person can sleep is considered a bed. So make sure you select these things very carefully. So beds, I want one. Bedroom, if I was traveling with a friend of mine and we each wanted separate bedrooms, I can actually say, let's narrow this down and make sure that I have 2 bedrooms. Or if someone's coming to meet and have a meeting with me at this place, I kind of want my bedroom separate from the living area. So making sure there's an actual bedroom is a pretty important thing to me. And of course, yes, I want a washroom. But again, if you're traveling with more people and you don't like sharing a bathroom, you can actually use this and say, I want to have 2 bathrooms. Now, when it comes to the beds, this is what I was referring to. If you select, I want 2 bedrooms, or sorry, only 1 bedroom, but I need 2 beds, it won't necessarily mean that you're going to have 2 beds in that bedroom. It could be one standard bed in the bedroom, and the second bed could be a sofa bed or a futon. So just keep that in mind about your bed selections. Once you've gone through this process and look at each individual listing, you'll have a better chance to read about what specifically is in each group. Okay, so now Superhost. So this would be, again, hosts that have really high ratings. They've been renting a lot through the Airbnb system. They don't have a lot of complaints. Everything goes really smoothly. So eventually Airbnb awards them with the Superhost designation. So this would just kind of narrow it down even further, that I don't have to worry that the hosts that are going to be in this list are first timers or anything. Accessibility is great. As you know, on this show, we're very big on accessibility. So choosing home features that have to do with accessibility, whether it is for sight or hearing, or if you need wheelchair access, all of that kind of thing will be listed here through accessibility. And then all of the amenities that you could be looking for. So Wi-Fi is a guaranteed, because that's part of the work system I looked for. Laptop friendly workspace was already included. Self check-in was already included. If I want to make sure there was other things like a washer and dryer, I check those. If I really needed to have some kind of a wireless intercom system, I can put that in there. But that only works is if the host listed their property with these same amenities checked off. Doorman, again, something that it might be included, it might not be, they may not have checked it off in their listing. So just keep these kind of open until you can read the individual listings, is my opinion. Now, for facilities, these are other things. If you have a car and you're driving into the city where you're staying, you may want to have parking nearby. So I'm actually flying into Toronto, so I won't need parking. But sometimes they may say on premises, but a lot of times they'll have details about parking elsewhere. I don't need a hot tub. I don't need a gym in the building, and I don't need a pool. I'm not there that long. Now, property type, if I don't want an apartment or a condo, I can leave only house checked. But in Toronto and downtown, I'm kind of knowing that I'm going to get mostly apartments and lofts. So really, I'm not that fussy about which ones of these I want. Now, for house rules, if I'm planning to entertain and having people over, I need to check this, because some Airbnb hosts don't want to have events in their house. Same thing with smoking allowed, or if you're planning to bring a pet with you. So none of these qualify for me for this trip. Now, neighborhoods, if you happen to know the names of your neighborhoods that you want to narrow this list down to, you can go ahead and click them off here. I'd be looking in the Yorkville section is what I did, but you can also use the map on the right hand side again to narrow it down or zoom into the area that you want. And then host language, they do have different languages that you want to specify. So if you're French speaking and you want to deal with someone who does speak French, just make sure that's clicked so that you can ensure that someone is going to be able to help you in French, either at the Airbnb accommodation, so that in case you have any questions when you're there, at least you'll know you can communicate with somebody in the language that you want. So now it sees in the bottom, I'm down to 39 homes. Okay, so from 39 homes for work trips. So now I've narrowed it down again, and you're going to see I have all these ratings, and I have, this one's an entire condominium. Of course, most of them in downtown Toronto are going to be that way. So I'm going to narrow this down a little bit further and say I want to be near the waterfront, closer to the entertainment district. So by going closer to this place, I've now narrowed it down to 6 homes available that are considered perfect for work trips. And they are not necessarily sorted from um, highest to lowest. So depending on how many of these filters you've used, you may want to take a chance and resort these a little bit about adding more filters so that you narrow it down to a number of places that fit on one screen. So now you can look at each individual one. So let's just look at, this one sounds interesting. See, best location with CN Tower View. So let's see what this is like. Now it said $190 dollars per night. But interestingly enough, once you clicked on it, and it must be because there must be a discount for certain times of the year, it's actually showing here as $125 per night, which is a steal. So here's all the little photos that the user here, Jay, has uploaded. So you're seeing, I guess there's an indoor pool in this building, and there are, got a great view of the CN Tower. It says it will, the entire condominium for $125 a night, you'll get a bedroom, 3 beds, and a bath. Now, again, scroll down here. Remember I said watch the bedrooms? So in the bedroom itself, there's 1 queen bed. And in the common space, which would be the living room, they've actually squeezed in another queen size bed and a sofa bed in that common space. So it sounds like it's pretty tight, but if you and a couple of friends were going down, you could still stay in this place, but I guess because it's only one person, that's why he's charging me $125. So you can go through and read all the details on there. He's a super host. There's going to be a check-in with a lockbox, which is easy. I can see that 90% of recent guests gave the check-in process a 5-star rating. There's more of the description of what's required. 650 square foot condo unit. And then you'll be able to see all the other things that are ready to go. You can see all of those amenities, continuous access in the listing. There's a washer and dryer. He's got heating, which is always nice. There's an elevator in case I had to carry things up. Yes, there's a dinner. There's hangers in there if I needed it. Some safety features. And that's basically it. 1 night minimum stay. And then down here, if I really wanted to double check that this is not too good to be true, I can actually read through 98 different reviews for this place. So you can kind of scroll through all of them, all the different ones. And then you can even message the host directly if you have any specific questions. You can also find out things to do in that area, a little bit more about that neighborhood, and a little bit more detail exactly where this place is going to go. Because just like other travel booking places, you will not see the exact location, as it says down here, until after the booking is confirmed. They don't want people just showing up at the guy's house, I'm guessing. So check-in time for this place, because he's very strict on the no smoking, no parties, no pets. Check-in time is at 4 o'clock, and he wants you out by 10 a.m. the next morning. That works fine for me. And you have a good cancellation policy. Everyone is different. As long as you cancel before 4 o'clock on the day before, or November the 2nd, which is about 5 days prior to my trip, I'll get a full refund minus the service fee. So you can read through his policies on that, and it seems to be working fine. Now, the last thing here that you would double check before you hit click is that the guest is just me. There's a cleaning fee here of $65. This is what he charges on top of just staying there that he will have to clean. So if you click on this, it's a one-time fee charged by the host to cover the cost of cleaning their space. So if you stayed here for 2 nights, you decided I'm going to stay here for 2 nights, the nightly fee will stay the same, but the cleaning fee will stay the same as well. So that would be $250 plus a $65. Now the service fee, this is what Airbnb charges. This is their little bonus for you using their system. Now, the last thing you have to worry about is that when you click book, it is not like clicking or booking a hotel room. When you click on this, it is going to want to charge you immediately. You do not get your place until everything goes through. So if you click on the booked section, let's just pretend I'm going to book it. I'm hoping this is going to work because I already had a place booked. There we go. Best view, highlights about the stay. And then if you click agree and continue, you're now going to go to, they want to notice a little difference. So again, there's your final price again. And then you can actually say, send him a little message. Hey, how's it going? Can't wait to stay there. Heard great things. Start a conversation with him anyhow. I'm not going to bother typing this in there because I don't want this guy to get a message and then it turns out I'm not staying there. So after this, you're going to get an email. You're going to go through and just do your standard payment options. You have to pay for the entire thing up front. You don't get to pay later like a hotel. There are options that if you are wanting to split cost with somebody, you can divide it into different credit cards, but that's going to be again on a different show. Now, if I wanted to go through and say what my trip is, let me give you an example of the one that I already booked. So this is where I'm going to be staying in Yorkville when I'm down in that same time, but I'm actually bringing a friend with me for that one. So again, this particular suite is check-in at 3, check-out at 11. Now, the interesting thing is that there's going to be a lot more instructions that are sent to you by email, and they're not necessarily on this space. So keep an eye on your email, double check your junk mail folders, because there's going to be other instructions will be showing up here and just beforehand. And I think that if you want to hear all the ins and outs about the rest of what it's like to actually stay in an Airbnb space and all the different options that are available to you, make sure you listen to the entire podcast episode that will be available October 28th, both on any of the podcast players if you want to hear the audio only version, or if you want to watch the entire YouTube show that will also include the link back to this if you needed to. You can also do so at the YouTube channel for Flying for Flavor.